Hello, respected board members of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Today, we will demonstrate to you why the refugee crisis in Chad is worth your attention and support.
The Republic of Chad first gained its independence from France in 1960, where it was a former colony. Since then, the government has been unstable until recently, where it's become relatively peaceful due to a strong presidential dictatorship. Currently, there are 13 million people living in Chad, and in addition to those, there are more than 400,000 refugees. And of these 400,000, there are 310,000 from Sudan, 70,000 from the Central African Republic, and 20,000 from other surrounding countries such as Nigeria. The refugees are forced to move into Chad due to the Boko Haram group, who are an insurgency located in Nigeria who promote the belief Haram, which makes it forbidden to practice or take part in any political or social activity associated with Western society. This group was founded in 2002, with their first few years being peaceful, but ever since 2009, when they launched military operations to create an Islamic State, they've kidnapped and killed thousands. People from Sudan are also being forced to move into Chad due to the civil war that's been occurring there recently. In addition to the refugees in Chad, more than 2.6 million internally displaced people are living at makeshift camps throughout the country. This is due to a lack of water from Lake Chad, which is now 1/20th of its former size. Around Lake Chad, 30 million people depend on the water and other resources, and recently those resources have been unattainable.
The migrants in Chad are facing severe problems. 40% of Chad's population is living in poverty. Although their government is stable, the government lacks vital infrastructure. An invasive plant is growing over nearly half the lake, which makes fishing and gathering water difficult. Insufficient damming and irrigation methods have led to the shrinkage of Lake Chad on the bottom of the lake to the surface. The environmental quality of the lake in general is deteriorating. Conflicts have been created between various groups who rely on the water from the lake, saying that one was there before the other, so they have the right to the water. Nigerian, Cameroon, and Central African Republic refugees have moved into Chad and the surrounding countries because the Boko Haram are killing people, but the fact of the matter is there's not enough resources in Chad to support all these people.
Children make up 57% of Chad's population, and with the refugee crisis, women and children have faced many challenges. Chad has the 5th highest rate of child mortality in the world and one of the highest maternal mortality rates. A lot of this is due to the very high risk of deadly diseases for people in Chad. 80% of children are not vaccinated, and for women in Chad, HIV is 2.5 times more prevalent among them than in men. Drought, high costs of food, and malnutrition have also contributed to the volatile socio-economic situation in Chad. This has also made children, especially girls, vulnerable for child marriages. 7 out of 10 girls are married before they turn 18. Despite the government pushing to end the practice, conflict in the area has also led to the recruitment of child soldiers. Children have few opportunities, and only about 40% of children complete a primary education. However, the education quality in Chad is very poor. 80% of women between the ages of 15 and 24 are illiterate. Women and girl refugees who have fled Sudan find it extremely hard to stay in school. Reports by Amnesty International have stated that refugee girls are being sexually harassed in school by teachers, leading many to drop out. There is also high rates of rape and violence for women and girls in and around refugee camps, making life for refugees a constant challenge.
Within the last 5 years, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or the UNHCR, has set up 15 refugee camps which house up to approximately 350,000 people. All of these refugee camps are located along the borders of neighboring countries, and many of which are located along Sudan's border. Chad has received many donations of water and food from the Red Cross and other NGOs. Many other sources have donated water and food, but not enough to sustain the refugee crisis. The Chadnese government has put forth a voluntary repatriation, which is the return of someone to their own country, as a way to help ease the Sudanese back into their country, but the Darfuri, which is the Sudanese refugees, reject it because it isn't the right time for them to go back. In some of the refugee camps, schools for children have been set up with monthly fees starting at 100 Central African francs, which is about 17 cents, but it was too expensive for many, so the fees were lowered. The government is claiming that they lack resources to properly care for refugees and have begun to focus on their own population while urging refugees to return to their countries.
Many things are needed to be done to improve the lives of the refugees in Chad. For starters, more refugee camps are needed to handle the influx of immigrants. Chad lacks infrastructure. Administrative assistance would be extremely beneficial, because the government of Chad is having a difficult time processing every single one of the immigrants that enter the country. Without accurate record keeping, providing assistance for all these refugees is extremely difficult for the government. Furthermore, funds for environmental conservation is crucial for the internally displaced peoples around Lake Chad. Without the lake, these people will certainly suffer. Food is scarce throughout the country because of the lake's decline. As we have shown today, the refugees in Chad need help and need assistance. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation can do several things. For starters, sending water and other supplies to people living in the camps would be wonderful because it would allow them to live because there's not enough food in Chad. Sending money so the immigrants can afford to live in new land is also important because many of them are stuck on desolate refugee camps. We need more resources to go to the camps and the internally displaced people so conditions can be made better. Education needs to be improved because nobody really knows how to sustainably care for Lake Chad. It's being used up, and soon in the future it'll be gone. We need to build dams around the Congo River and into the Chari River, which flows into Lake Chad, so the water level in the lake can be controlled and increased, so there's little risk that the lake will dry up. These things must be done if the lives of the people in Chad are to be improved. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to our story and listen to the stories of those who live in Chad. I hope that you can consider supporting the Chad refugees, because without your support, they will surely die, along with the lake that's supposed to support them.